Hey you guys, it's Britt. Tonight we're here to talk about parentification, specifically when it comes to the not so resilient Jenkins. I think this is a really important topic and it deserves its own video. So we're going to go over what is it and what are some of the examples that Steph and Drew have shown, specifically regarding Steph's oldest daughter. She's been put in this position by both of them numerous times, and I'd like to talk about what is it and what could it mean possibly for her future down the line. So we're going to chat for a few. If you're interested, please keep watching. All right, you guys, so of course this will be on my Resilient Jenkins playlist. If you have no clue who they are and you'd like to catch up, it will be in that playlist for y'all. There's a lot to go through, fair warning. But when it comes to parentification, recently, the most recent example that I saw of this through Steph's videos was that they went to a trunk or treat for Halloween, and the oldest child, Steph's daughter, was shown with a baby sling as she was literally participating as a child in trunk or treat. She had an infant carrier on. She could not enjoy trunk or treat. She could not enjoy this occasion or this event because she was yet again put in a position of, well, you're the oldest, so you're going to take care of one of the younger siblings, instead of Steph and Drew getting off of their ass and making sure that they have a stroller or strollers that properly fit all of these children that they cannot stop having. There was also that very memorable but equally heartbreaking example of when Steph was in the bathroom of the shelter trying to do a live stream. She put her oldest daughter in charge of taking care of the infant. Again, the child not doing what Steph wanted her to do, so it just turned into this really heartbreaking clip that went viral a couple of months ago.
Holy fuck, give me the baby now and go do your chores.
Trying so hard to help.
Addie, no you're not, and you need to stop.
Stop, please.
Addie, I already said stop, please. Holy crap.
Do we still need to go out of this, Rachel?
Yep. So, since you're going to try to spin that situation, what actually went down is we have an agreement. She can help with her sister, and I'll do her chores if she wants to help with her sister. But when I go out there and her sister is just laying down crying and she's just sitting watching TV playing with her tablet, then we switch it up. I'm going to take back the baby since you weren't helping, and I'll do the fucking, or you know, you can do your chores. I don't think that's too much to ask of a 10-year-old. She's given the option. I'm not making her take care of the baby. She's choosing. So.
But Mommy, I had her in my arms. She wasn't
I need you to stop.
crying.
So this article on WebMD was written by Amber Felton. It was medically reviewed by Renee Ali, MD, on September 20th of 2024. Of course, it will be linked down below in case y'all want to review any of this for yourselves. But it says, what is parentification? Parentification is often referred to as growing up too fast. Typically, it occurs when a child takes on parental responsibility for their siblings or even their parents, taking care of a sibling or parent physically, mentally, or emotionally. This can damage a child's mental well-being and lead to long-term mental health conditions such as depression and anxiety. Of course, the types of parentification that is happening with the Jenkins, we only see a small snippet. We don't know what's going on all of the time. Could there be other ways that this child is having to be a parent for younger siblings that is just not posted on social media? It's possible, but even the clips that we have seen have been very, very disheartening, and it's a pattern. And once something is a pattern, I not only pick up on that, but I also wonder what is happening when nothing is being filmed. Is it far worse than we could imagine, and in my opinion, allegedly, when it comes to Steph and Drew, I do not put that past them. I could very easily see this being much worse than the small snippets that we have seen as the public consuming the content. There are different types of parentification. One is emotional. It says that this type of parentification occurs when parents impose their emotional needs on their children and seek emotional and mental support from them. Of the two types of parentification, emotional parentification is considered more complex and more challenging for the child. Now, instrumental parentification, it's similar to emotional parentification and often goes hand in hand with it. However, instead of children strictly tending to their parents' emotional needs, children engaged in instrumental parentification are tasked with chores and responsibilities that aren't appropriate for their age group. This could include grocery shopping, cooking, paying bills, caring for sick siblings or parents, and more. So I do think some of that is going on. Obviously we saw this child who should have been enjoying Halloween as a child instead had their younger siblings strapped to them, which is something that should have never happened. Parentification symptoms vary from case by case. The more severe case of parentification, the more severe the symptoms will be. Some of those include stress and anxiety, stomach aches or headaches, aggression, academic troubles, social difficulties, trouble maintaining friendships, inability to enjoy age-appropriate activities. They neglect their own needs and feelings. They might have feelings of self-blame or self-doubt, anger and depression over the loss of childhood in teenagers and adults. So that also goes into what could this mean for her once she is a teenager, an adult? In what way could this follow her into adolescence and on? This could also lead to substance use issues. And it says that other signs of parentification may include acting as a mediator between parents, being complimented on being mature or responsible by outsiders, struggling to show emotions due to the fear of a parent's response, and feeling more emotionally mature than a parent. And I could easily see this child feeling like they are more emotionally mature than Steph and Drew both. Because, as I've said before, we are not a fly on the wall, but my God, the things that this child and the other children could have witnessed in this motel room, in the initial motel room that they were in, also going back to Drew's one-bedroom apartment. I'm sure that there are many things that have been witnessed by these children that are going to be unforgettable in the worst ways possible. Some of the causes are divorce, chronic illness or disability, alcoholism or drug addiction, mental or physical abuse by a partner, immaturity, financial hardship. And I think that Steph is one of those people that will blame everything else around her for the way that she's choosing to live her life. It's never her fault. It's always, this went wrong, that person did me wrong, I've been cheated by the system. It's always an excuse with her and never any action. Let's circle back to the long-term possible effects of parentification. It says that it can have harmful effects on children that can last into adulthood, though the symptoms vary from person to person, sometimes appearing much later in life. Other times, mental health disorders, including depression and anxiety, may develop during childhood, especially when a child is feeling pressure to perform specific tasks. Parentification can also affect a child's ability to show and receive love. And it also says that it can turn into EDs later in life, possible addiction. They can also exhibit temper outbursts. Adults who were parentified as children may exhibit poor or passive communication skills and have unstable relationships with family, friends, and partners. How tragic. You literally are bringing children into this world that you are not willing to or want to make sure that they have a solid foundation, that they are not parentified, that they are not associating their childhood with housing insecurities and complete unhinged nonsense. Think of all of the weird stuff that Steph has done. I mean, we're talking about some of it can just be cringy and weird, but you're going to associate your childhood with your mother mopping the walls with Clorox and Pine Sol, and her, shaking her ass on TikTok and responding to haters, and having you stuck in a single room shelter because she refused to go get a job. Some of the examples of parentification that they use in this article: caring for your younger siblings. When a child is parentified and has a younger sibling, they often assume the parental role in their sibling's life. It can include anything from changing diapers, feeding, bathing, potty training, putting them to sleep. It can look like taking on household responsibilities. And Steph, early on, she was like, oh, we don't give the kids chores because we don't want to add to this, their stress of living in this one-room shoebox with us. But then it was also just a couple months later where she was getting upset with the older kids for not doing chores. It's just a constant hypocrisy, BS, lies, manipulation, and some, unhinged TikToks peppered in there. Parentification treatment, let's talk about that for just a quick second. It says that treatment for parentification usually occurs when the parentified child has grown up and realizes how unstable their childhood was. At this point, individuals may seek therapy to help cope with the parentification's effects on them, including depression, anxiety, and insecurities. Therapy may also help the children repair broken bridges with their parents. Boundaries must always be set between a child and parent. While children may not understand how to set boundaries to feel guilted into avoiding them, by the time you grow into adulthood, it's essential to have firmly established boundaries and limitations regarding what you will and won't do for your parents. Prioritizing yourself, your needs, and your mental health is essential. And some of these things that they say can help adults move through this parentification that they experience as a child can include telling your story, having self-compassion, listening to your younger self. And I think all of those are super powerful. Obviously, we have no clue what these children will do when they get older, but I will say what I've said about kids of family vloggers. If and when they reach adulthood, if they want to tell their stories, they will have a very large platform with open ears and open eyes, and their voices will be heard if and when they choose to open up about it. And if they don't, that's their choice. It's not, obviously required. Like, that would be crazy. But I'm glad, even though this is so heartbreaking, at least if and when they need help, I hope that they can get it and know that there are people like me that have consumed this for years and will look back at all of the disgusting content that was made regarding this family and be able to, kind of tie one end to another and have a full understanding of what happened. Now, as promised, I will have a long form video coming on the Jenkins. I tried to do it this week. The week just got away from me. I've been very, very busy with my full-time job. And to be quite honest, getting used to the clocks falling back has got me a little frazzled, a little annoyed. I know I shouldn't be complaining about it, but I'm just adjusting and trying to manage a busy week at work, so on and so forth. I know y'all get it, but that will be coming here soon, I promise. But I felt like this topic was important enough to have an isolated video. We can be silly and snarky and respond to all the cringy stuff that Steph and Drew are posting, but conversations like this should hold an equal weight when it comes to listening and trying to have a conversation around the content that is being posted. I hope that makes sense. But I think that's it for today. So if you like the video, please leave a like and a comment. And if you'd like to see more from me in the future, please subscribe. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.